Hi, my name is JC. I'm founder of FITTR and I'm here to answer your questions on Instagram. What are my most favorite 5 compound body movements or exercises? I'd say hands down sprints, then squats, lunges, push-ups and pull-ups. Is it better to hit the gym in the morning or in the evening? You have 2 different hormones, which is testosterone and cortisol. Both are diurnal, which means that they peak and then they go down and then they peak and they go down. When you wake up first thing in the morning, both cortisol and testosterone are at their peak. However, the testosterone to cortisol ratio is not the most optimum. But as the day progresses, let's say 6 to 8 hours of post waking up, you have the peak testosterone to cortisol ratio, and that's actually the most optimal time as per science when you should work out. And this is done by a lot of athletes. They typically train during afternoons, and now this can provide a competitive edge to people who are athletes or who are in some sort of competition. But for general people, I think the most important thing is just working out every single day. And if that means that you're going out in the morning or evening at a time, whichever is convenient for you, that hands down is the best time for you to work out. The next question is, does intermittent fasting work for losing weight? The answer is yes, it does, if intermittent fasting helps you in getting in a state of calorie deficit. But if you're not in a state of calorie deficit, then intermittent fasting is not going to help you. Is going gluten-free good for everybody? Like any other allergens, which could be soy, peanuts, or different kinds of fish, some people are allergic to gluten. Now, just because somebody is allergic to peanuts does not mean the whole world needs to go peanuts free. In a similar manner, if somebody has a gluten allergy, it makes sense for that person to go off a gluten diet, but it does not make sense for everybody else to follow the suit. So if you do not have any sort of gluten allergy, then you're completely fine consuming gluten. Can someone's BMI tell how healthy they are? BMI, or body mass index, is a large population level tool. This is a tool which is used in epidemiological studies for gauging population health. But this tool cannot be applied to individuals. For example, as per the BMI, I would be considered underweight, wherein a skinny fat person would be considered healthy. That's primarily because BMI does not take body fat percentage or muscle mass into account. So while BMI is a useful tool for gauging population level health, it is not a great tool for individuals to use. So what's an ideal body fat percentage that one must carry year round? Now, if you're not athletic, if you're looking for general well-being with healthy parameters, I do suggest having less than 15% body fat for males, which is in line with general medical guidelines. And for females, below 22% is generally considered healthy. If you're athletic, you can go below 10% body fat. And if you're a female, 18% and below is also good for you. So why should you use glycemic load and not glycemic index? Let's first try and understand what GI or glycemic index is. So glycemic index is a number which is assigned to certain foods which can increase your blood glucose levels rapidly. So foods high in GI will typically increase your blood glucose levels more rapidly versus foods low in GI, which will increase your blood glucose levels at a lower rate, also in the lower quantum. Now, the problem with GI is that it does not take the quantity of the food into account. For example, foods like watermelon, they typically have higher GI. But if you take the quantity of watermelon into account, you'd realize that 100 grams of watermelon typically only has 4 grams of sugar. And so that way, watermelon has a much lower glycemic load. And we've seen that the rise in blood glucose level is directly proportional to the load of the food being consumed. And that's why out of the two, if you have to select, you should always go with glycemic load and not glycemic index. All right, that's it for today, folks. If you have any more questions, please make sure to follow our Instagram so you can ask me these questions.